are coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios in the heart of Johannesburg. This is Prime News on SABC 3. And here's what's dominating in your leads at this hour.
I have, as the Minister, placed Mr. Dylan Perumal on suspension from his position.
First up, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Madlanga Commission, has announced sweeping reforms aimed at restoring public confidence in the investigating Directorate Against Corruption.
They asked me for the name of every person who's dealt with the matter.
No, it's fine. I don't even know what's happening. I'll be very honest with you. I stopped watching.
IDAC state advocate has laid all her cards on the table in evidence which directly challenges former IDAC head advocate Andrea Johnson's version that sought to distance herself from responsibility on IDAC's handling of crime intelligence cases.
Mr. Seiso Joel Muhai, the Deputy Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, as the chairperson.
And Cabinet has appointed Seiso Muhai as the new chairperson of the Public Investment Corporation Board. Bring to you the world in focus right here on Prime News on SABC 3. Good evening and welcome to it. My name is Beki Mutumomolete and I'm joined by a sign language interpreter, Sinovuyo Fihlani. Let's chat a course together through the day's biggest stories, and with that said, here are your leads. We launch with this. The investigating Directorate Against Corruption's chief investigator, Dylan Perumal, has been suspended. The decision follows allegations of misconduct levelled against him and other senior officials of IDAC at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. He will now face disciplinary proceedings linked to alleged misconduct. This is according to Justice and Constitutional Development Minister Madlanga Commission while addressing the media today.
The Minister placed Mr. Dylan Perumal on suspension from his position as the Chief Investigator of South Africa's Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, pending disciplinary action and disciplinary processes. And the NDPP, in terms of his powers, also in terms of authority, you would understand that there are delegations at which level you deal with what, has started a disciplinary process for employees within the purview of his purview who have been found wanting at IDAC, and that has commenced. Mr. Brian Badiaki and Mr. Suleiman Buluchan have already been suspended pending disciplinary proceedings against them.
Meanwhile, IDAC state advocate Drushantha Ramsamy laid all her cards on the table in evidence which directly challenges former IDAC head advocate Andrea Johnson's version that sought to distance herself from responsibility on IDAC's handling of crime intelligence cases. This, as Ramsamy has alleged that the Mukwele case as well as the Medicare 24 fraud case was part of Johnson's project diversion, in which Johnson and chief IDAC investigator Dylan Perumal allegedly orchestrated an attack against high-ranking officials Lieutenant General Dumisani Kumalo and General Fani Masemula.
IDAC state advocate Drushantha Ramsamy took to the witness box and sang like a canary, revealing explosive allegations that challenged former IDAC head advocate Andrea Johnson's attempt at portraying herself as someone who was far removed from IDAC's investigations into crime intelligence. Ramsamy alleges that not only did Johnson quote-unquote dictate the matter, but she, along with Chief IDAC investigator Dylan Perumal, allegedly flouted processes and used IDAC to pursue certain targets.
I want to make it clear that Advocate Johnson and Mr. Perumal launched an orchestrated attack on General Masemula and General Kumalo using IDAC's powerful investigation tools. And this will become evident in my statement and testimony.
IDAC has faced allegations of manufacturing cases against top generals, where evidence before the probe shows that the Section 27 referral affidavit, used to launch the Mokwele case, for example, did not meet the legislative requirement. Ramsamy also came armed with audio of a conversation between herself and Johnson, which shows that Ramsamy allegedly received the list of suspects in the Mokwele matter from Johnson.
They asked me for the name of every person who's dealt with the matter.
No, it's fine. I don't even know what's happening. I'll be very honest with you. I stopped watching because we are so busy with preparation for blue lights.
The hearings continue. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Pretoria.
Cabinet has appointed Seiso Mohai as the new chairperson of the Public Investment Corporation Board. Mohai is the current deputy minister in the presidency, responsible for planning, monitoring and evaluation. His appointment follows the departure of Deputy Finance Minister Dr. David Masondo as PIC chairperson last week.
He said the PIC deepened last week after board chair David Masondo's resignation. His departure came days before a crucial shareholder meeting where the remaining non-executive directors were expected to be removed. Government has acted swiftly to stabilize leadership at the troubled asset manager.
Appointed the non-executive members of the board of directors of the Public Investment Corporation Limited. Mr. Seiso Joel Mohai, the Deputy Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation as the chairperson. This is to address the governance challenges at the PIC, and the Minister of Finance will then bring a report on the continued implementation of the Mumpati Commission recommendations, which have made propose certain reforms which will be considered by Cabinet.
Turning to other matters, certain categories of South African drivers will now have their license valid for 10 years.
The 10-year renewal period will apply only to light motor vehicles. Heavy commercial and public transport vehicles will remain subject to existing 2 or 5-year renewal cycles, while professional drivers' permits will also remain on the 2-year renewal cycle.
With coalition politics expected to play a big role in some municipalities post the November local government polls, the Municipal Structures Amendment Bill, commonly known as the Coalition Bill, is now before Parliament for consideration. Ntebo Mokobo for SABC News in Pretoria.
Meanwhile, the Public Investment Corporation has welcomed Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana and Cabinet's decision to urgently appoint a new board at the asset manager. In a statement, the acting CEO of the PIC, Batandwa Damoyi, said that the decision would help to bring much-needed stability to the corporation.
The board has been announced as follows. Mr. Seiso Mohai is the chairperson. Ms. Patience Ngqeto, Ms. Lebohang Mukhabudi, Advocate Khatlelane Omar Rasitaba, Ms. Vivian McMenamim, Ms. Moiponi Ramuponi, Ms. Bajabulile Swazi Shabalala, and Mr. Itani Mafune. Seiso Mohai takes over as chair of the board from Deputy Minister of Finance Dr. David Masondo, who resigned from the board last week. This, as Finance Minister Godongwana had essentially given the remaining board members, including the chairperson, an ultimatum to vacate or justify why they should remain in place. Njabeni explained why Mohai was chosen to be chair.
In terms of the PIC Act, the chairperson of the PIC can be a Deputy Minister of Finance, or which, if it's a Deputy Minister of Finance, they must be appointed by the Minister of Finance, but in consultation with Cabinet, any other Deputy Minister from the economic cluster can be appointed.
Trade Federation COSATU says the board is not yet complete, as representatives from COSATU, FEDUSA and the Government Employees Pension Fund have also yet to be appointed.
It's critical to not have a vacuum since the board resigned last week. And the Deputy Minister in the Presidency, Mr. Seiso Mohai, I think he brings many skills and benefits to this position. One is that he's in the Presidency. So he'll have that kind of surety and protection from the Presidency from those who might want to interfere in the running of the PIC.
The PIC manages 3.7 trillion rands worth of investment funds, with a significant chunk invested on behalf of government employees. Nampumelo Siziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.
When we return, the African Union Executive Council has agreed that migration remains one of the continent's most pressing challenges. We'll bring you more on this after the break. Welcome back to Prime News on SABC 3. We now turn our focus to the following. EFF leader Julius Malema has urged South Africans to resist succumbing to what he termed juvenile and politically motivated insinuation by some as a result of testimonies coming from the Madlanga Commission. Briefing the media, he said testimony from the inquiry will not dent the image of his party.
All attempts to cast doubt over the organization and its leadership. There's been no evidence that ties the EFF to any wrongdoing, and this is a fact we remain proud of.
Still unshaken by the revelation at the Madlanga Commission, the EFF is adamant and maintains that the testimony at the Commission has not harmed the party and its leadership. Briefing the media, Malema stated that he will not backtrack on what he regards as secrecy on the preliminary Madlanga report submitted to the President.
All preliminary findings and interim reports by the Madlanga Commission to be made public and accessible, as those reports do not belong to the President of the Republic, but belong to the people of South Africa. To handle preliminary findings and reports with secrecy undermines the constitutional principle of transparency and risks selective and politically motivated conduct as it relates to prosecutions and arrests related to the work of the Commission.
He says thus far there's no concrete evidence implicating the EFF and its leadership. Malema urged South Africans to refrain from succumbing to what he says it's a juvenile and political insinuation drawn by others from the Madlanga Commission. Ntlanhla Khatlani, SABC News, Johannesburg.
We've got refreshments for you at the back.
The African Union Executive Council has agreed that migration remains one of the continent's most pressing challenges. Ministers meeting in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, have recommended that African leaders hold a comprehensive discussion on migration, border management, and the free movement of people in Africa.
At the African Union Executive Council meeting, an attempt to place South Africa under the spotlight was not successful. This follows recent protests against undocumented foreign nationals. Countries including Ghana and Nigeria calling for migration to receive a greater attention. However, ministers agreed that migration is a challenge. President Cyril Ramaphosa has also called for a broader continental conversation on migration. At the Pan-African Parliament, he urged lawmakers to develop African-led solutions, balancing freedom of movement with security, development and regional integration. South Africa says it will continue to enforce its immigration laws while strengthening the management of its borders.
So through one of the work streams led by Minister Motshekga, we have now put together a plan with the time frames, with the areas, and also a comprehensive one that deals with the border entries, that deals with the border line, that deals with the technology that is needed. So it's about the infrastructure, the technology, and also the management of the people.
The minister says the Ministerial Committee on Migration is finalizing a comprehensive border management strategy. Sophie Mkwena, SABC News, Johannesburg.
To this now, the IEC in KwaZulu-Natal is looking to surpass its target of registering first-time voters in the final registration weekend. Since the first voter registration weekend in June, the province has added more than 127,000 first-time registered voters to the voters' roll. The province also recorded the highest voter activity across the country.
At the start of the year, the Electoral Commission in KwaZulu-Natal had set itself a target of registering 312,000 first-time voters. The Commission was looking specifically for those in the 18 to 34 age group. Despite some concerns in the lead-up to the first registration weekend in June about voter apathy, the province exceeded expectations.
This weekend, for us to reach the 100% that we set for ourselves, we are looking for 79,000 new voters into the voters' roll in the province. And we're quite optimistic that we are going to get there.
Masinga says the Commission is still seeking for the remaining voters who are yet to re-register in areas affected by boundary changes. The province also saw an increase in the number of wards from 901 to 921 following the realignment of municipal boundaries by the Municipal Demarcation Board.
There will be implications if people do not update their registration detail, because it means if you're a part of Ward 1 and you are the portion of Ward 1 that has been incorporated into Ward 2.
The IEC says it's closely monitoring the weather but is prepared for inclement weather conditions. Its voting station infrastructure task team is working closely with the province's disaster management unit. I am Mhlongo, SABC News, Durban.
Democratic Alliance Johannesburg mayoral candidate Helen Zille has accused the city of Johannesburg of rushing to fix a major service delivery failure ahead of her visit. The allegation follows emergency repairs to a major water pipe burst in the city. However, the city's leadership has dismissed the claims.
Workers were seen working around the clock to repair a burst water pipe with water gushing high into the air. The repairs coincided with a visit by the Democratic Alliance's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, Helen Zille.
We've had a consistent pattern here where every time they get word that we are coming to a particular service delivery failure, they rush in, try to get here before us to fix the problem before we make it public.
She argues that the repairs were prompted by political pressure rather than routine service delivery. But Johannesburg Deputy Mayor Loyiso Masuku has rejected the allegation, dismissing claims that the repair work was linked to Zille's visit.
We said it in the State of the City address, we said it in the budget speech that we've got a turnaround plan and it was approved by council. The turnaround plan is focusing on infrastructure development. The turnaround plan, Bali, is focusing on dealing with electricity and water losses.
The DA also criticized President Cyril Ramaphosa's National Water Action Plan, arguing that it risks becoming another plan that is not fully implemented. The city of Johannesburg is estimated to require nearly 60 billion rand to address its infrastructure maintenance backlog. Balintle Mthethwa, SABC News, Johannesburg.
And finally tonight, let's take a look at your weather forecast. Our team is on standby with all the details you need. Coming right up.
Very good evening to you. Let's take a look at all your weather details ahead of the start of the weekend. We've got clear conditions in the Western Cape overnight, stretching in towards the Northern Cape as well. Some isolated showers for parts of the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal coastline in towards the areas of Umbumbela as well. Clear skies overnight for the Northwest Province and Gauteng. Ahead towards tomorrow, another sunny day in store for most of Gauteng. Some cloud cover is expected in the northern parts though, and that extends northwards in towards Limpopo. Isolated showers continuing through the east coast of the country tomorrow. That's on the KwaZulu-Natal coastline. Wind speeds between 45 and 55 kilometers an hour there, so please be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, clear conditions are expected in the Free State, Northern Cape and most of the Western Cape. Throughout the Eastern Cape, you can expect some cloudy conditions on Friday. Onto some alerts for this evening. We've got that alert for damaging winds along the east coast of South Africa, and ahead towards tomorrow, we've got similar conditions between Durban and Richards Bay. Please do take care if you're in those areas. Cape Town dropping to 7 degrees overnight. A chilly chilly night in store for the Free State, -1 for Bethlehem and Kimberley. Pietermaritzburg dropping to a cold 3, Durban down to 12 degrees overnight. Johannesburg dips to about 5, Pretoria 6 and Polokwane 8. But on Friday afternoon, Polokwane is up to about 19 degrees. Johannesburg expecting about 18, mid-20s for Richards Bay, Durban cooler at 21, high teens for the Eastern Cape coastline and mid-teens through the interior around Mthatha and Komani. Beaufort West up to 20 degrees on Friday. Cape Town up to a maximum of 23, and it'll be sunny in the Northern Cape around Uppington, where the temperature reaches 23 on Friday afternoon. That's it from me. Have a great evening.
That is a wrap for this evening, and as always, we thank you for your audience. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow evening as we bring you more of the details you need to stay informed. Until then, from myself, Becky, and the team, it is good night.